right, welcome to The Pitch. I'm here alongside with Tierney. Brock and Ty were going to be on the show with us, but things went haywire and they weren't able to be, but that's okay because we're better anyway. And we know they got their meatball show and they do that a lot more frequently than The Pitch now, but
we don't need them.
Yeah, it's better without them anyway. So what we're going to do today, why don't you tell them?
Well, we're going to start with naming off our top three MVP picks, and then a dark horse if you have one. So we'll start with you. What's your first pick?
Okay, so our 1 through 3 MVPs. Should I start with 3 or 1?
Start with 1, because then we'll get to the dark horse.
Okay, so if I had to predict, I think that the JL16 MVP is going to be Kyle Godino. That's my prediction. And my prime reasoning for this is that if you look at all the team schedules, Kyle and the Missouri Express have the easiest schedule, and they're the defending champs somehow. Their non-conference games are like Underdog, Storm, and there's like one other one that I can't remember exactly who it is, but they have an easy schedule.
Tough. Yeah.
And Michael Sullivan, this is kind of new news that I'm breaking right now to the league. He's going to be out for like a good amount of the season, at least the beginning. First game playing day of the season, and then he says he'll be back for the playoffs. But he's like going to the Midwest for like school and stuff this summer or something.
Yeah.
But anyways, so basically Kyle won't get to just like throw Michael out there to pitch some easy games. I mean, he might do that with Marcus.
Yeah.
But I think Kyle's going to pitch probably more games than you would have thought.
I think, too, even if he puts Marcus in for those games, it'll make him actually stand out more than if you put Michael in.
Yeah, and I think, I'll say this real quick about Marcus. Personally, I think if Marcus played on a team like the Lynx or this, like, and had to be the ace pitcher and all that, he might be the league MVP because he's that good all around.
Yeah, he is.
But he plays behind Kyle, and that's a whole other segment of things we could talk about there. So anyway, my number 2 is going to be Connor Vermillion. And that's because last season he was in the mix.
Yeah.
And he's in the National Conference. You know, the Cobras are, I think everyone's pretty much that side. And he's the best player on the Cobras, and he's the main pitcher. He pitches basically every game unless it's like a for sure going to be able to win game. He's dominant, and I think he's going to have another good season. So I would go him number 2. And then number 3, I'm going to keep it with the reigning MVP, Colton Titus. The reason I have him number 3 is just because he had such a great season regular season, at least last season. It's just so hard to replicate that 2 times in a row. I think he's going to be good again, but I don't think he's going to be that 10 out of 10 good. He might be like a 9 out of 10. And plus they have Nate, and Nate threw that team, So those are my predictions for 1 through 3. My dark horse is Jeter Larson for the Rapids. He showed a lot of talent in his rookie season last year, and he only played half the season. If you guys remember, he was signed by the Rapids halfway through the season, and he played the last 3 regular season games with them. And, of course, the Rapids didn't make the playoffs because they had an awful year.
Yeah.
But he's oozing with talent. He really is. He's got to find a way to
channel it
and be consistent, because if you watched him last year, you think, wow, this kid throws really hard. His balls move all over the place. He gets outs like crazy, but he walks a lot of people when he's off. So it's like when he's hot, I think he's as good as anyone, honestly. But when he's off, it's like gets ugly. So that's what's holding him back. And his batting's not great, so that might have to improve. But we've seen people win MVP before where they're not necessarily like great batters. They're just really dominant pitchers. So he's my dark horse. Let's hear yours.
Mine are actually very similar to yours. I also have Kyle's number 1.
For the same reasons?
Yeah. I think their schedule, along with like his proven track record and what you think you can expect from him coming in, I just don't see any way that
It's a safe pick.
Anyone else could be number one at this point. And number 2 is also Connor, above Colton, who is my number 3 as well.
You told me it was just a feeling before the show started.
Yeah. And I'm not saying this to be rude to Colton at all. Great pitcher. I love watching him. He's got the talent, right? But I think that Connor's had enough time in the league now, and he's always been a strong pitcher. And I think this season can be a season to really shine and break through. So. And
another thing about Colton too is I feel like Colton's already a really good batter, and Connor's not really a great batter yet. He's a dangerous batter, and he gets good contact, but he's not like a real low threat.
Yeah.
And if he could develop into that, then he as a player gets even better. Mm-hmm. So he's got room to grow, I think, whereas maybe has peaked. Yeah. And not that that's like a horrible thing.
No.
He's very good, obviously, but I think Connor has the most room to grow maybe out of all those. Who's your dark horse?
My dark horse is Eric
Titus.
Mm-hmm. And I just think, one, he stands out because he's clearly the best player on that team.
Carries that team.
Yeah, right? So he stands out. If it's all on Eric. There's no one else you can pick from that. So if they somehow pull through, and they can have a tough schedule, but if they can pull through and win some games, he's going to be in the talk, I think.
So question, what's Eric got to do this season different from last? Because we're saying, he carries the team. He's got to have a real good season for the Bison, get them to the playoffs, all that. But he did that last year. He got them to 5-1, the second overall seed in the National Conference. He was obviously the best player on the team by far.
Yeah.
Put him on his shoulders, all that stuff, but he didn't win. So what would he have to do if he replicated those things stats-wise again to get him over the top of Vermillion or Godino or...
Well, that's an interesting question, too, because I honestly don't really know if there's much more that Eric can do. I think it actually has to be his team around him.
Yeah.
I think once he gets that support underneath him, it will help him shine more. And so then they'll be more likely to be in those top couple picks and be in the talks.
My thing was going to be that last year he did all this stuff and was great. But if you look back at the games, they didn't really beat anyone that got beat by the Cobras. They got beat by... if you look back on their schedule, they didn't beat anyone elite. Mm-hmm. They beat good teams, and they beat the bad teams. But this Eric Titus era of the Bison has yet to give...
But I think that also comes with the support from...
Yes, and that's where I think you're right. His teammates are going to have to step up more for them as a team to get over it. And then as soon as that happens, he's going to get more looks, MVP-wise.
Right.
Probably.
Yep.
All right, so the second game thing we're going to play here is day one of the season. Each team plays 3 games, which equates to 18 games. I don't know, my math is terrible. There's 12 teams in the league. If each team plays 3 games, how many games total is that?
12 times 8, 36.
In one day? No, there's no way there's 36 games in one day.
Each team plays... Well, no, because some of them are going to play each other.
Yeah. Well, okay.
I don't know.
There's a lot of games on day one. Each team's playing 3 games. And so what we're going to do, and 4 of them are broadcasted, by the way. 2 on Facebook, 2 on Twitter. But what we're going to do is we're going to tell you which top 3 games of day one we're looking most forward to. In terms of, I really want to see what happens here type of thing. So I'll let you go first and tell me what your 3 are and why.
Okay.
Do you want to look at this again?
No, I got mine.
Oh, she got it. Okay.
My top game is Lawman Sasquatches. And I think this is going to be of interest to anyone who is remotely interested in the league or who's at the tournament or anything, because you got 2 new teams facing off.
And we should note that that's both of their first games of the season.
Yeah. So I think it makes it that much bigger even to see okay, you're both rookie teams. Who's going to come out and prove themselves more and kind of show off what they have in their talent. So I think that for me is number 1. My second one is also the Lawman. Their second game, Express. It's either a second or third game. And I think that's going to be an interesting game. Yeah. Just because, okay, here you are. You got your introduction game against another rookie team. now we're going to throw you to the Wolves and see how you do against, obviously, a championship-style team, right?
Cream of the crop.
Yeah. So we're throwing them in. Let's see how you do. See how you fend for yourselves. Kind of see where you're at in relation to other teams in the league, not just someone else that's new. So that'd be my number 2. Number 3 is the Cobras Bambinos game.
Oh, that's a great game.
Which is always going to be a classic, right? You got the Cobras who long-standing, make playoff runs, great team. Bambinos obviously came into the league later, but they've proven themselves also a great team. So that's going to be, I think, one of
a showdown.
Yeah, one of the better.
It's kind of what everyone thought was going to be the championship last year.
Yeah.
And it obviously didn't turn out to be the Express Cobras, but those two teams haven't played since JL 12, and that was like back when the Bambinos weren't as good either.
Mm-hmm. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see who can kind of fight that one out and come out with the victory. What are yours?
Those are good games. And we should note that Cobras Bambinos is at the end of the day. I think it's each team's game 3, and it's on Facebook. And then the first one you mentioned, Sasquatches and Lawman, is both of their first games, and that's on Twitter, I believe. And then the other one you mentioned, I don't think so. But mine would be, I'm going to go with you. These are in no particular order, mine either, because I didn't think about them being in order. And I can't get my phone to look. Because I didn't write them down like you do. I wasn't prepared like that. But I'm going to go with the first one, too, the Lawman and the Sasquatches, because, the Lawman, 4 out of 5 guys are rookies. Mm-hmm. No idea what to expect. And then Sasquatches as well, 3 out of 4 rookies. They could sign a 5th guy by the time that, season rolls around, too. Yeah. The one that's not is Nick Proudfit. So, I mean, we really don't know what to expect out of these two teams. We have guesses. Like, I think maybe the Lawmen are going to be a little better, just because I personally have seen the guys on both teams and have kind of watched their mechanics when we do, like, this green screen stuff. But, I mean, honestly, it could go a lot of different ways. So I'm really excited to see that one. And then I'm going to go with, too, obviously, I'm going to be playing in the Cobras Bambinos one. Yeah. But as a fan, I would be pumped to watch that game because that's just going to be really good. It's going to be really defensive and, all that good stuff. And I'm going to pick one different from the one you picked, Express. Just because I think after that first game, I'm going to have a feel. Okay. And 2, if the Lawmen lose the first game to the Sasquatch and get, like, blown out, I'm not going to be that interested.
That's true. I was kind of expecting them to win. The first game, but.
My one is actually going to be, it's each team's second game, and it's Bison Rapids. And that's because the Rapids had a horrible season last year, and the Bison had a really good one. Though my personal opinion is that they're pretty equal, and I think the Rapids actually might have more collective talent. I think the Rapids are going to come back strong this year. They don't have injuries this time like Ty, at least right now. I think they've got all the pieces, honestly. And I think down the stretch, it's going to be Cobras Waves. And I think it's between the Bison and the Rapids for that last playoff spot in the National Conference. And it could come down to whoever wins head-to-head. And that could be in that game. So I think that's a huge early season game. So those are mine.
I think they're all great picks. I mean, we have some of the similar things, but you're definitely going to want to be there and watch those games because, like Cale said, they could come back and bite you in the butt if you don't play well.
Yeah.
If you don't play well, that could be the game that, even though it's early in the season, it could keep you from being in the playoffs.
Yeah, you don't want to dig a hole.
No.
And there's a few teams that I was just looking through, like the Wrecking Crew, even the Cobras, like they could start potentially 1 and 2 on the season just because they have tough schedules early on, and you don't want to get dug in holes like that.
No.
And on the flip side, we saw like the Bison come out and go 3-0 last season at the beginning, and then it was like, well, it'd be hard for them not to make the playoffs now. So, was it interesting? Neither one of us picked the opening game, Express Waves, because that's always supposed to be like.
Yeah, that was kind of interesting. I guess I didn't really think about.
I mean. And if you think about, too, like, if you look back at the past, the non-defending champion team, they have a winning record against the defending champ. And it's like, it's not, like, really close either. It's, like, 67 win percentage for some weird reason.
Yeah.
And you were on the Fog last season that played against the Express in the opening game, and you guys almost beat them.
Yeah, we did.
And the Fog weren't even a playoff team last year.
No, and we had a mashed up, put together team. So.
And yeah, it was a mess. But mostly because of the Fog management last season.
Yeah.
Prior to the Walls era. But anyways, I thought that was weird that neither of us picked that one. If you're going by history, you'd think maybe the Waves would win, which would be
would be big.
Yeah, it'd be huge.
Yeah.
But those are our games. We hope you enjoyed watching them. And I don't know when we're going to do another pitch episode, but there'll be a Meatballs on soon, because they love doing those.
They love
watch
those.
out for that. All right, we'll see you guys later.